KZOM Radio presents Know Your Cryptids, an in-depth analysis and discussion of all the creatures of legends. Hosted by Matt Jarbo. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of KZOM Radio's Know Your Legends. Know Your Legends is what we're going to be calling the show from here on out. Each subsection of the show will be like Know Your Legends, like hyphen cryptids or gods or whatever thing else that we're going to cover here on the show. And so this time, we're still on the cryptids. This is still Know Your Cryptids, and this week we're going to be talking about the Chupacabra. Now, I don't know about you, but I've always been interested in the Chupacabra. Like, I'm really interested in the Chupacabra because, it's the goat sucker, right? It's like this little creature that they say is half man, half goat sometimes, and that it eats goats and stuff down in Mexico and parts of, the border. It's mostly a border animal, is border creature is what I've heard in the rumors I've heard about it. Is it usually takes place down like in Texas by Juarez, and I think it's like a deterrent on both sides, kind of. It's like a scary story, but they say that it exists, and we are going to go through that information. So thank you very much for tuning in, and let's get on with the information about the Chupacabra. The Chupacabras is a legendary cryptid rumored to inhabit parts of the Americas. It is associated more recently with sightings of an allegedly unknown animal in Puerto Rico, where the sightings were first reported, Mexico, and the United States, especially in the latter Latin American communities. The name comes from the animal's reported habit of attacking and drinking the blood of livestock, especially goats. Physical descriptions of the creature vary. Eyewitness sightings have been claimed as early as 1995 in Puerto Rico and have since been reported as far north as Maine and as far south as Chile, and even being spotted outside the Americas in countries like Russia and the Philippines. It is supposedly a heavy creature with the size of a small bear, with a row of spines reaching from the neck to the base of the tail. Biologists and wildlife management officials view the Chupacabra as a contemporary legend. However, in July 2010, an animal was killed and reported to be a chupacabra, but later found to be a coyote with a severe parasite infection. In October of that year, the University of Michigan scientists theorized that the parasite-riddled coyotes, specifically the parasites responsible for scabies and mange, were likely the basis of the Chupacabra legend. History of the Chupacabra. The first reported attacks occurred in March 1995 in Puerto Rico. In this attack, 8 sheep were discovered dead, each with 3 puncture wounds in the chest area and completely drained of blood. A few months later, in August, an eyewitness reported seeing the creature in a Puerto Rican town of Canovanas, where many as 150 farm animals and pets were reportedly killed. In 1955, similar killings around the town of Mocha were attributed to El Vampiro de Mocha, the vampire of Mocha. Initially, it was suspected that the killings were committed by a satanic cult. Later, more killings were reported around the island, and many farms reported loss of animal life. Each of the animals had their bodies bled dry through a series of small circular incisions. Puerto Rican comedian and entrepreneur Silverio Perez is credited with coining the term chupacabras soon after the first incidents were reported in the press. Shortly after the first reported incidents in Puerto Rico, other animal deaths were reported in other countries, such as the Dominican Republic, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, Brazil, the United States, and Mexico. Reported sightings of the Chupacabra. In July 2004, a rancher near San Antonio, Texas, killed a hairless dog-like creature which was attacking his livestock. This animal, initially given the name of Elmendorf beast, was later determined by a DNA assay conducted at the University of California, Davis, to be a coyote with demodectic or scarcopic mange. In October 2004, 2 more carcasses were found in the same area. Biologists in Texas examined samples from the 2 carcasses and determined that they were both also coyotes, suffering from a very severe case of mange. In Coleman, Texas, a farmer named Reggie Lago caught an animal in a trap he set after the deaths of a number of his chickens and turkeys. The animal was described as resembling a mix of a hairless dog, rat, and kangaroo. Legao provided the animal to the Texas Parks and Wildlife officials for identification, but Legao reported in a September 17, 2006 phone interview that the critter was caught on a Tuesday and thrown out in Thursday's trash. In April 2006, Most News reported that the Chupacabra was spotted in Russia for the first time. Reports from Central Russia beginning in March 2005 tell of a beast that kills animals and sucks out their blood. 32 turkeys were killed and drained overnight. Reports later came from neighboring villages when 30 sheep were killed and had their blood drained. Finally, eyewitnesses were able to describe the Chupacabras. In May 2006, experts were determined to track the animal down. In mid-August 2006, Michelle O'Donnell of Turner, Maine, described an evil-looking rodent-like animal with fangs that had been found dead alongside a road. The animal was apparently struck by a car and was unidentifiable. Photographs were taken, and witness reports seemed to be in a relative agreement that the creature was canine in appearance, but in widely published photos seemed unlikely any dog or wolf in the area. Photos from other angles seemed to show a Chow or Akita mixed breed dog. It was reported that the carcass was picked clean by vultures before experts could examine it. For years, residents of Maine have reported a mysterious creature and a string of dog-like maulings. In May 2007, a series of reports on National Columbia News reported that 300 dead sheep in the region of Boyaca and the capture of a possible specimen to be analyzed by zoologists at the National University of Columbia. In August 2007, Phyllis Kenyon found 3 animals in Cuero, Texas. She and her neighbors reported having discovered these strange animal carcasses outside Kenyon's property. She took photographs of the carcasses and preserved the head of one in a freezer before turning it over for DNA analysis. Kenyon reported that nearly 30 chickens on her farm had been exsanguinated over a period of years, a factor which led her to connect the carcasses with the Chupacabra's legend. State mammologist John Young estimated that the animal in Kenyon's pictures was a gray fox suffering from an extreme case of mange. In November 2007, biology researchers at Texas State University San Marcos determined from DNA samples that the suspicious animal was a coyote. The coyote, however, had grayish-blue, mostly hairless skin and large fanged teeth, which caused it to appear different from a normal coyote size. Additional skin samples were taken to attempt to determine the cause of the hair loss. On January 11, 2008, a sighting was reported at the province of Capiz in the Philippines. Some of the residents from the area believed that it to be the Chupacabra legend that had killed 8 chickens. The owner of the chicken saw a dog-like animal attacking them. On August 8, 2008, a DeWitt County deputy, Brandon Rydell, filmed an unidentifiable animal along the back roads near Cuero, Texas on his dashboard camera. The animal was about the size of a coyote but was hairless with a long snout, short front legs, and long back legs. However, Ryder's boss, Sheriff Jode Zavasky, believes it may have been the same species of coyote identified by the Texas State University San Marcos researchers in 2007. The video footage was shown on an April 2011 of the sci-fi television series Fact or Faked Paranormal Files, where an investigative team tried to recreate the dashboard video footage using a miniature horse and a hairless Mexican dog, both of which were bred locally. Neither test animal matched the creature in the video. The team had also tested the DNA sample taken from an alleged carcass of one of the creatures found by a local rancher, which was later identified as being a hybrid wolf-coyote. In September 2009, CNN aired a report showing close-up video footage of an unidentified dead animal. The same CNN report stated that locals have begun speculating the possibility that this might be Chupacabras. A Blanco, Texas taxidermist reported that he recovered the body from a former student whose cousin had discovered the animal in his barn, where it had succumbed to poison left out for rodents. The taxidermist expressed his belief that this is a genetically mutated coyote. On September 18, 2009, taxidermist Jerry Ayer sold the Blanco, Texas Chupacabra to the Lost World Museum. The museum, as reported in the Syracuse Post-Standard on September 26, 2009, is placing the creature on display as they work with an unnamed university to have the remains tested. The most recent sighting was on July 4, 2011, where Jack Crabtree of Lake Jackson, Texas, reported seeing a Chupacabra in his backyard. At first, Crabtree stood firmly on the original theory of the Chupacabra, but after the local newspaper and several other media reporters wrote his story on July 11th, he quickly backed down, agreeing with wildlife experts that this was most likely a coyote with mange. "It was a spoof or a practical joke," Crabtree said. "I really don't believe it." His story appeared on CNN as well as MSNBC. On July 15, 2011, local authorities caught what Crabtree saw. Experts confirmed that the animal was definitely a coyote with mange. The Chupacabras, captured or killed. On December 18, 2010, in Nelson County, Kentucky, Mark Cothran shot and killed an animal that he could not recognize. Many pictures of the Chupacabra were taken, and the story was well documented by various news organizations. Cothran described the creature as having large ears, whiskers, a long tail, and about the size of a house cat. Cothran says he spoke with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources and handed over the preserved animal for further analysis. Solving the mystery of the Chupacabra. In July 2010, there were reports of chupacabras being shot dead by animal control officers in Hood County, Texas. A second creature was also reportedly spotted and killed several miles away. However, an officer of Hood County Animal Control said Texas A&M University scientists conducted tests and identified the corpse as a coyote-dog hybrid with signs of mange and internal parasites. The second reported chupacabra, shot July 9th, about 8 miles south of Crescent, was eaten by vultures before it could be taken for testing. New information from researcher Benjamin Bradford in 2010 revealed that Madeline Toliento, the original eyewitness, had described a creature she had recently seen in a science fiction horror film Species as the Chupacabra. The alien in the film, named Syl, is nearly identical to Tolentino's Chupacabra eyewitness account. It was a creature that looked like the Chupacabra, with spines on its back and all. The resemblance to the Chupacabra was really impressive, Tolentino reported. Bradford revealed that Tolentino believed that the creatures and the events she saw in Species were actually happening in reality in Puerto Rico at the time, and therefore concludes that the popular image of the Chupacabra, the one appearing in thousands of books, magazines, and websites as a credible eyewitness description, is in fact based on science fiction film. This, Radford believes, seriously undermines the credibility of the Chupacabra as a real animal. Radford spent 5 years investigating and solved the mystery of the creature's origin in his 2011 book, Tracking the Chupacabra, the Vampire Beast in Fact, Fiction, and Folklore. The investigation included eyewitness interviews, forensic and folkloric research, and a field expedition to the jungles of Nicaragua in search of the legendary monster. In late October 2010, University of Michigan biologist Barry O'Connor concluded that all of the chupacabras were simply coyotes infected with a parasite, the symptoms of which would explain most of the features of the chupacabras. They would be left with little fur, thickened skin, and a rank odor. O'Connor theorized that the attacks on goats occurred because these animals are greatly weakened. They're going to have a hard time hunting, so they may be forced into attacking livestock because it's easier than running down a rabbit or deer. What the chupacabra may look like. The most common description of chupacabras is a reptile-like being, appearing to have leathery or scaly greenish gray skin and sharp spines or quills running down its back. The form stands approximately 3 to 4 feet high and stands and hops in a familiar fashion to a kangaroo. At least in one sighting, the creature was reported to hop 20 feet. This variety is said to have a dog or panther-like nose, a face, forked tongue, and large fangs. It is said to hiss and screech when alarmed, as well as leave behind a sulfuric stench. When it screeches, some reports assert that the chupacabra's eyes glow an unusual red, which gives the witnesses nausea. Another description of the chupacabras, although not as common, describes a strange breed of wild dog. This form is mostly hairless and has pronounced spinal ridge, unusually pronounced eye sockets, fangs, and claws. It is claimed that this breed might be an example of dog-like reptile. Unlike conventional predators, the chupacabra is said to drain all of its animals' blood, and sometimes organs, usually through 3 holes in the shape of an upside-down triangle, or through 1 or 2 holes. In conclusion, as we've heard in the last few minutes on the show, the chupacabra is most likely a wild dog coyote hybrid or an animal that has mange or scabies, and one that looks like it could be something from out of legend or folklore versus an actual animal that's just sick. Since we don't know what the Chupacabra is, or if it exists, I guess mystery will just have to keep alive. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't mind coming across one day. No, I mean, I don't want to personally come across one because they'll probably kill me. But, you know, it's one of those little mysteries. It's one of those things that you have to kind of wonder, you know, does it exist? Is it out there? And can we ever find it? But, like Bigfoot, the Yeti, and other creatures of legend, it's either a myth or waiting for one fantastic discovery. We'll see you next time on the show. My name is Matt Jarbo. Please tune in to kzomradio.com, which is now up and running. You can also find us on Twitter at KZOM or Facebook.com/KZOMradio. For any emails or inquiries, you can contact me at kzomradio@gmail.com. Thanks, guys. Have a fantastic day.